Pocketed the insult. I smarted under the insult, but as I had pocketed many such in the past, I had become inured to them. I therefore decided to forget this latest one and take what course a dispassionate view of the case might suggest. We had a letter from the chief of the Asiatic department to the effect that as I had seen Mr. Chamberlain in Durban, it had been found necessary to omit my name from the deputation which was to wait on him. The letter was more than my co-workers could bear. They proposed to drop the idea of the deputation altogether. I pointed out to them the awkward situation of the community. If you do not represent your case before Mr. Chamberlain, said I, it will be presumed that you have no case at all. After all, the representation has to be made in writing, and we have got it ready. It does not matter in the least whether I read it or someone else reads it. Mr. Chamberlain is not going to argue the matter with us. I am afraid we must swallow the insult. I had scarcely finished speaking when Tayyab Seth cried out, does not an insult to you amount to an insult to the community? How can we forget that you are our representative? Too true, said I, but even the community will have to pocket insults like these. Have we any alternative? Come what may, why should we swallow a fresh insult? Nothing worse can possibly happen to us. Have we many rights to lose? Asked Tayyab Seth. It was spirited reply, but of what avail was it? I was fully conscious of the limitations of the community. I pacified my friends and advised them to have in my place Mr. George Godfrey, an Indian barrister. So Mr. Godfrey led the deputation. Mr. Chamberlain referred in his reply to my exclusion. Rather than hear the same representative over and over again, is it not better to have someone new, he said, and tried to heal the wound. But all this, far from ending the matter, only added to the work of the community and also to mine. We had to start afresh. It is at our instance that the community helped in the war, and you see the result now were the words with which some people taunted me. But the taunt had no effect. I do not regret my advice, said I. I maintain that we did well in taking part in the war. In doing so, we simply did our duty. We may not look forward to any reward for our labors, but it is my firm conviction that all good action is bound to bear fruit. In the end, let us forget the past and think of the task before us, with which the rest agreed. I added, to tell you the truth, the work for which you had called me is practically finished. But I believe I ought not to leave the Transvaal so far as it is possible, even if you permit me to return home. Instead of carrying on my work from Natal as before, I must now do so from here. I must no longer think of returning to India within a year, but must get enrolled in the Transvaal Supreme Court. I have confidence enough to deal with this new department. If we do not do this, the community will be hounded out of the country, besides being thoroughly robbed. Every day it will have fresh insults heaped upon it. The fact that Mr. Chamberlain refused to see me and that the official insulted me are nothing before the humiliation of the whole community. It will become impossible to put up with the veritable dog's life that we shall be expected to lead. So I set the ball rolling, discussed things with Indians in Pretoria and Johannesburg, and ultimately decided to step up office in Johannesburg. It was indeed doubtful whether I would be enrolled in the Transvaal Supreme Court, but the Law Society did not oppose my application, and the court allowed it. It was difficult for an Indian to secure rooms for office in a suitable locality, but I had come in fairly close contact with Mr. Rich, who was then one of the merchants there. Through the good offices of a house agent known to him, I succeeded in securing a suitable rooms for my office in the legal quarters of the city. and I started on my professional work.